Hello everyone, welcome back to TMG Coaching. Today I want to talk to you about this idea that everyone feels like they need to change who they are just to be able to go out and pick up the woman that they want or to adapt themselves to their relationships. It's wrong. You don't need to change who you are. There's a very big difference between changing who you are and evolving into a person that can have these social skills to go out and interact with anyone. It is possible for anybody to interact with everyone. When I first started this, I was quite a nervous person, and when I got into these situations, I would be like, is this person the kind of person that I can connect with, or does this person really want to connect with me, or are they even interested in what I've got to say? All it comes down to is how you project yourself as a person. Now, often I get very nervous guys who, when they get themselves out there and really get into the nitty-gritty type of engagements with other people, especially when they do their first approach, they have this idea that they cannot connect with these people or that they are annoying this person in any way. However, all of the best PUAs in the world, they don't have this because they know that they have the ability to connect with everyone. So this can be adapted into two ways. You can either look at it from the pickup side or you can look at it from the relationship side. But first, I just want to really hammer in the idea that you as a person, you can talk to anyone you want to talk to. You can connect with anyone that you want to talk to. Initially, this was something that we didn't understand when we were teenagers. That's why you often see with teenagers, they lock themselves into small groups, and these groups within their school years cannot connect with all the other groups. Because people are very focused on changing to adapt to that environment and changing to be with that group of people or that group of people or that group of people. But as we get into life, we realize that when you get into a workplace, there are very many different types of people. There are the shy people, there are the geeks, there are the fashionable people, and there are the other type of people. So we're forced to interact with loads of different groups. And as we get older and we go to universities or we get into our first job roles and so on and so forth, we learn that it is possible to connect with other people on different levels. But you can take this to an even higher level of communication. All you have to do is you have to learn how to adapt your communication skills and evolve them, how you can read body language and how you can project your correct body language, and just be socially intellectual about what you're doing. Now, to teach you all of that will take a lot more than a 10-minute video. But what I will say is that you can talk and you can interact with everyone. All you have to do is just learn some basic skills to go in and read their personality, who they are and what interests them, and be able to feed that back to them. And I'll go on to this more in future videos. But what I really want to hammer in here is that you can talk to anyone. And not only that, if you decide to go down the pickup route and you want to learn all the PUA skills, then you have to understand this. Because if you don't, you will constantly have this fear that the people that you're talking to and the people that you're trying to approach are not going to want to interact with you because you think that you can't connect with them. That's not my type of girl. That is something that I hear a lot from my students. It's not really my type of girl. How do you know? You've never spoken to her. Now, I have a friend of mine and she is the biggest gaming geek. But when you look at her, she looks like a fashionable girl. Now, that really projects this idea that you can't just judge a book by its cover. Go up there and interact with them. Because if you don't interact with them, you'll never get to know them. Looking on the relationship side of things, that you're already in a long-term relationship or you've just got into a relationship. The reason why it's important for you to be able to connect with people in this area of life is that when you have your first girlfriend, you're going to want to connect with her. You're going to want that relationship to evolve. Now, I use the word evolve because you need to be able to adapt to each other and grow together. It's very hard, and you'll find this because you will get with a few women, and even the women out there will probably get with a few men who try to control how the growth of the relationship occurs. What we need to look at here is how we can adapt to each other's way of life and how we can adapt together. Now, you'll often find within relationships that the two people that are connecting have already got the same type of interests. What we need to do is socially evolve that, so that you have a good connection and that connection keeps growing and you find different areas of life where you begin to connect. And even the ones where you don't agree or you have discussions or however you want to call it, I wouldn't want to call it arguments because I always feel like that's a very, very negative term. But a positive discussion about something that's going wrong. To be able to go in there and have these social skills And this ability to communicate with people in that way is endlessly important, because otherwise it will become these heated arguments and you'll get nothing positive out of it. Also, when you have to go in and interact with their social circle, you are probably going to have to interact with people that don't necessarily have the same interest or come from the same type of social groups as you're used to. Your friends are probably not the same as her friends. So you have to be able to go in and connect with them. Now there's this old saying that win the friend, win the girl. This is very true. For example, this is how I initially got my girlfriend. On my first interaction with her, she wasn't the biggest fan of me because of what I do for a living. However, once I befriended her friend, she gave me the chance to be able to talk to her. And that was really good. Now I have a thriving relationship with her, and it's brilliant. So what I'm saying is that once you build all these like social skills, you can go in and you can interact with everyone. Again, once you go into the point where you have to meet her family, her father, for example, now these can normally be quite intense moments. What you've got to be able to do is you've got to be able to project yourself as an alpha male. Not be this overly arrogant, overly in-your-face type of guy, but you've got to be able to stand up for yourself within the communications that you have. I.e., if you're having a conversation about something, you need to be able to project your view on the subject. If you don't, you'll just be seen as a weak, submissive character, and nobody wants that. The final point I want to really stress is, and this works on both sides, on the pickup side and on the relationship side, this idea of jumping onto the yes ladder, what we call the yes ladder, of agreeing with everything someone says in order to build comfort, is a myth. It doesn't work. Or you're seen as someone, the only perception that people get of you is that they look at you and go, well, this guy's got nothing to say for himself. All he's doing is just agreeing with me. Now, I quite often witness this, especially with the guys that I teach, is that they'll be talking to a girl and they'll be like, all right, so what you're a cat person? She's like, yeah, I like cats. Oh, yeah, so do I. I said, yeah, but I prefer dogs. Like I said, I've got like 2 dogs at home, but I like cats as well. Oh, no, yeah, I prefer dogs. This idea of constantly converting yourself to what it is they find good or positive is never gonna work. You need to project what you think. And the same works if you were to meet your girlfriend's dad for the first time, for example, or just any of her friends, and they're sat there going, oh yeah, I'm really into arts, and you're like, yeah, I like art too, and yeah, and I really like heavy rock and roll music, yeah, I can definitely see why people would like that. This idea of just always like trying to build comfort, it doesn't work, because people are just like, well, this guy just agrees with everything that I'm saying. You've got to go in there and you've got to be able to say, all right, oh, no, that's cool. I mean, I prefer hip-hop myself, or whatever it is that you prefer. Now, this ability to be able to interact positively within what would be conceived as an immediately negative situation of, oh, we're disagreeing on something, but being able to accept another person's view and then adapting to it and understanding it is a lot stronger than just being sat there or just sitting there and going, oh, well, I agree with everything you're saying, when you really don't. And that's the things that I really wanted to get across to you today, is the fact that you can be whoever you are, and you should never ever change who you are. I am the biggest gaming geek of all time. I am the biggest StarCraft 2 nerd you will ever meet. And I have been down the road of Dungeons and Dragons and the World of Warcraft kind of game. But that doesn't change who I am when it gets into social situations. I still go out, I still do all my pickup, and I teach all this stuff. At the same time, there's some of the best PUAs in the world. Like if you look at Adam Lyons, he's a turbo geek himself. Never ever change who you are, because the person you are is a lot more important to you than the person you're projecting onto other people. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like down below and subscribe up at top if you want more great advice on how to adapt yourself into the real world of dating and relationships. By the way, I know I desperately need a haircut.